Welcome back to the Delaware Way. There has been an increase in sexually transmitted infections among teenagers in Delaware, and that's causing some alarm. Here to talk about it is Ruth Lytle Barnaby, who is the president of Planned Parenthood in Delaware. Thank you so much for coming in. Is there a reason that we aren't able to communicate to teenagers about protecting themselves so they don't get STIs?
I think parents get embarrassed about talking to their kids about sexually transmitted infections, unwanted pregnancies, sexual activity altogether. Parents get embarrassed, and so they tend to shy away from talking to their kids, especially about STIs.
Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, because other age groups who are more sexually active don't see that kind of increase that you see in the age group from 14 to 17. So it's a real concern.
It is. We do much better at talking about birth control than we do sexually transmitted infections. So the good news is teenagers, the undesired pregnancy rate amongst teenagers is going down. We have better birth control, more reliable birth control, and teenagers have really adapted to that. They tend to forget that second step after that, that even if they take the birth control pill or have an IUD, that they still have to protect themselves.
Is it unprotected sex that people are having? Is that the problem?
Yes.
And so when parents talk to their children, what should they be saying?
They should talk to them about there's only several ways you can really protect yourself well against an infection. The first one is certainly abstinence, to not engage in sexual activity at all. If that doesn't occur, young people need to really understand that a condom is their best method to protect against an infection.
And in this, it's the parents that are sometimes the problem, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they are either in denial or they just are uncomfortable and don't want to have that talk.
Yes, very uncomfortable. And what we recommend is that you start with kids early, not talking about condoms, but just start talking about sex early. And what kids need to know at the age of 5 is just what is the name of their body parts. As they get older and they start to have questions, parents should start answering questions. They don't have to go further than that. Just answer the question that the kid has. You'll be able to see relatively quickly, did that satisfy this kid, or is there more they want to know? As they get to be teenagers, if you're able to tell them that, you know, this is my value about sex, and so parents first say, this is what I believe, and then they tell their teenager, if you believe something different or are going to engage in sexual activity, here are the things you need to do. And so you can make it rather uncomplicated. You can have condoms available. You can take a teenager in for birth control, and you can help protect that kid, because when it comes down to it, our values are our values. Teenagers can become impulsive.
But being uncomfortable can go both ways, especially if a teenager, someone between 14 and 17, believes they have an STI.
Right.
What do they do?
Well, it's hard for them to tell their parent. In the state of Delaware, anyone over the age of 12 can go in and get treatment for an STI without letting their parent know. So if that's really, we encourage parental involvement, but if the teenager just absolutely cannot do that, we're still able to provide treatment for them.
And you encourage kids at that age to get tested if they are sexually active, even if they don't think they have one.
Absolutely, because they don't really know. Oftentimes symptoms can be benign enough that a teenager might not recognize those as a symptom, and if they don't get those symptoms, if they don't get their infection treated, it can really influence their fertility later on in life. So we absolutely want kids that are having unprotected sex to get tested very frequently.
Do you do an outreach to some of the high schools?
Oh, sure. And we provide sexuality-based education to any school in Delaware that allows us to go in there. And the education we provide is fidelity-based, which means the kids that we teach have a statistically significant difference, and they have lower STIs, lower pregnancy rates, higher age of initiation for sexual activity, and a lower number of partners. So though it is comprehensive sex ed, by telling kids about sexuality, disease, birth control, all of those things, we are able to help kids actually reduce their risk.
And as I talk to you now, I feel like every parent out there, it's unfortunate we have to have this discussion. It's uncomfortable to have this discussion, but it's an important discussion to have. And if they haven't had the discussion with their children, they should at least approach it.
And we offer workshops as well for parents to help parents how to talk to your teenager about sex, how to talk to your 10-year-old about sexuality. We help parents with when it comes to more difficult issues for them, whether a child might think they're gay or not. So we're able to help them along the path to have those kind of discussions with their kids.
And to reach you, they could just Google
Planned Parenthood of Delaware. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming in. Ruth Lytle Barnaby is the president of Planned Parenthood in Delaware. When we come back, a University of Delaware student has made some national news and got the recognition of Google because of an app he invented. We'll talk to him next.